Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
In the aftermath of the light heavyweight madness that's been going on lately, you got a new champion, Jamal Hill. You got Yuri Prochazka looking to get his belt back. Who knows? John Jones making the move up to heavyweight. A lot of people probably aren't thinking about UFC Vegas 70, but I'll tell you, the main event has massive implications on this light heavyweight title picture. Because guess what? When Jamal Hill defends, or if we get a new champion, you got to have a new queue of people, a new queue of challengers. And that is what Ryan Spann versus Nikita Krylov is going to deliver. What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Breaking it down with me, as always, the Santa Fe bomber himself, the New Mexico native brother. Hey, man, listen, this is going to be the new future of the light heavyweight division. I've been talking about Nikita Krylov for a long time, and I guess Ryan Spann just started training all of a sudden, brother. So what do you make of it?
Ryan Spann is getting serious. You said it yourself, Derek. He started training and he looked like a whole different animal in his last fight. I'm glad you already noted that this card might be overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of the casuals are already looking towards pay-per-view. There's names coming that we haven't heard in a while, but you forget there's names on this card that need to be paid attention to that are going to be the future of the division. I couldn't agree with you more, Derek. I'm excited to break this card down with you this week, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling dangerous. I'm feeling ready to go. I'm feeling like I need to get a dub on the board. We need to get our props in order. We need to get everything in order. So let's not waste any more time and let's talk about it. But first, quick update. Right now, as I am recording this currently, right, 509 subscribers here on the Free Thinkers Club YouTube channel, Bloody Water Podcast YouTube channel. Let's get that up to 520, 530 by the time that, you know what I mean, midway of next week. Either way, if you haven't subscribed yet, you know what you need to do. And really, that's all that I got for you. Let's just talk about it, AJ. Let's get into these fights. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's jump straight into the TLDR, aka go take a quick screenshot right now if you are watching this. If you are listening, just give it a second. We'll tell you who we're about to break it down. But, folks, in another uncommon trajectory, we do have a lot of Bloody Water Podcast consensus picks this week. But you know when it counts, we got to have a little bit of a difference of opinion. So if you have not made your, you're taking your screenshot and all that, do it now because I'm taking it off the screen. But for those who are listening, let's talk about it. AJ, before we, kind of talk about the one that we have a difference of opinion on, let's rattle off the consensus picks. Andre Muniz versus Brendan Allen. You got two submission specialists, man. What makes you like Muniz here?
Man, Muniz just has more momentum on his side right now. Brendan Allen really is in the spot to prove himself, and we're going to see if this is a test. This is a big test for both gentlemen right here, though.
That's right. I like Muniz, too. I think you're absolutely correct, man. When it comes down to the grappling and control, it's almost unworldly at this point, what he's able to do to these guys. Let's talk about it, man. A former ranked heavyweight who's no longer in the heavyweight rankings, but he's looking to make his way back, Augusto Sakai, man. And I think this is finally the opportunity where he gets that change of pace opponent. He gets that smash spot, per se, against a Don'Tale Mayes. So, realistically, man, we like Sakai here. Why?
Man, Derek, I couldn't agree with you more. This has the potential to be a smash spot for Sakai over here, and we finally get to test our theory if there are different echelons of heavyweight, because a lot of people hold Sakai up here, a lot of other people hold Mayes somewhere a little lower. We're going to be able to see how this test pans out, man. I'm excited for this fight.
That's right, and I want to talk about this more in depth, so for this next bout, let's not share too much, but the return of the former strawweight phenom, Tatiana Suarez, makes a return against a very dangerous and formidable opponent, Montana De La Rosa. Of course, she's a minus 900 favorite, minus 800 favorite. I like Suarez, but this is a move up to flyweight. So why do you like Suarez here?
Derek, I like Suarez right here because of the power, because of the size, the speed, she has a lot of intangibles going for her, but I don't want to discount the fact of the word you quoted for Montana De La Rosa, dangerous. We'll break it down a little further, man, but this is going to be a scrap.
That's right. And then when we head to the kind of beginning of this card, or I guess you could say the bottom, however you want to really look at it, let's talk about Mike Malott versus Yohan Lainesse. Apologies, brother. I know he's made a couple UFC stints here. I'm going to break this one down as simple as I can. I think Mike Malott is a much more technical, formidable fighter over the course of 3 rounds. Lainesse could start strong. He's very, very good. I just think over the course of 3 rounds, Mallott's going to have a little more to offer. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you entirely, Derek. Cool. Malott is the one that's going to stay on the front foot, and I think it's going to look good in the eyes of the judges.
And if we want to talk about a blood and guts matchup, we're talking about Erick Gonzalez versus Trevor, man. One of these dudes is going to sleep, I think it's safe to say. However, we're both inclined in a consensus pick on the underdog. Why are you liking Erick Gonzalez here?
Man, I probably because the name jumps out a little bit more on the sheet for me, to be completely honest with you, Derek. But this is one of the fights where I was back and forth. Peak is a dog, and we see it in him. The problem is with that dog mentality, he leaves his chin out there to be touched. Ghost Pepper has quite the hammer to hit that nail.
And you can hit the vice versa too. Both of these guys are pretty much in the same boat, so should be a fun one. And then of course, main event: Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. We're literally about to break it down, so don't say too much. But I like Ryan Spann. Straight shots. I think that's going to be the key to victory right here. And maybe I'm buying into the hype. If this man's training, we don't really know what this man is capable of. Give me Ryan Spann. Even though AJ, you know this for facts, I've been praising Nikita Krylov for a long time, so I'm a little split. But why you like Krylov?
Derek, just to let the cat out of the bag, I almost went Spann, but we could not have two different weeks back to back going for this one, man. This is a tale of two fighters who have changed their career trajectory on their own. I'm excited for this one, man. This one's going to be a fun one to break down and to watch.
That's right. And folks, if you are of the TikTok generation and you're the short attention span generation, well, there's your show. Might as well go call it a day, run to the sports book. But for the real ones, for the real fight fans, the people who are a fan of your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, the Bloody Water Podcast, stay tuned because we're about to break it down. Let's get it.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
All right, AJ. This is going to be literally a very massive stakes in terms of the light heavyweight division. So I worded that completely wrong, but the stakes are very high here. Nikita Krylov gets his opportunity, man. This dude has been very middle of the pack. Layoffs, had his time where he could have made that upper echelon, but there's never been a moment where the light heavyweight division has been more open. Let's be honest. So Nikita Krylov, he could do it all. He could strike with you, he can grapple with you, he could submit you. But you're fighting a guy in Ryan Spann who also has really good bottom game in terms of his submission abilities, in terms of being able to establish guard, get back to his feet if need be. When he hits you, though, that's the difference that I'm seeing here. When he hits you, it only takes one. Nikita Krylov is going to be more of an accumulative damage here. So my question is, can a Nikita Krylov have the same success that he's had against some of his opposition if he's on the back foot in this tiny Vegas octagon the entire fight?
That's what worries me the most, Derek, is Nikita Krylov knows how to stall a fight and he knows how to win a decision. He has to be perfect a full 25 minutes in order to not get hit with that Ryan Spann death touch. I mean, it seems like quite a lot, but you got to remember the kicks of Krylov are going to be there. He's very speedy. He knows how to work his range. This is an interesting one, man, because like I was saying just a little bit ago, this is two fighters who have really transformed their own career and have hit a spot, like you said, Derek, that the light heavyweight title is open. It's up for, not necessarily open, but it can be contested, and it seems like there's a new path for a lot of different fighters, and both of these fighters are going to determine who's going to be on that path. Which one of these two, Derek, do you see more likely to win a championship and then maintain that championship going forward?
To be honest, man, like if I'm talking about just raw technical skill and ability, Nikita Krylov. I mean, honestly, right? But I will say Ryan Spann does have, he has fuck you power. That's the problem here, man. When he touches you, shit gets weird. He fought Yohan Kutalaba, was thoroughly kind of losing that fight, right? Getting taken down a bunch of different times. And then what did he do? He says, all right, let me get back to my feet. You overextended yourself. Snatch that front choke. Boom. Done. Fight's over. A lot of people will be quick to call Ryan Spann a one-trick pony, right? That he's all guillotines, all big right hands and left hooks. And you can argue a lot of people are pretty much like that. The problem is when he hits you and when he lands, it works. So I think the real issue here is going to be, will Ryan Spann stay within himself and not fall into that overextension that he often does? Because Nikita Krylov, with control time, can win a decision here. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to win a decision here. It's just a matter of, can you last 25 minutes without getting clipped? So let's take a step back, though, man, because I'm going to say that this is absolutely the most open the light heavyweight division has ever been when you think about the last couple of champions, right? John Jones reigned over this division for how many years? Daniel Cormier was next after that. And then you get what? You get Glover Teixeira, you get the, Yuri Prochazka, things of that nature, right? This is a moment, where the title is flipping hands, changing hands, and all it's going to take is really, I think at this point, one or two big wins for any of these middle-of-the-road guys to get their shot. So they got to make it. So let me ask you, who's the pressure more on right now? Is it on Krylov or is it on Spann? Because for me, it's kind of hard to gauge.
It is hard to gauge. I would actually say Krylov. He has a little bit more momentum going for him, a little bit more media hype, if you will. And I think the thing about Spann that kind of keeps him a little relaxed, a little on the cooler side, is a lot of people are expecting him to be that one-trick pony. So if you're already going in there with people doubting you, people not expecting you to rise to the level you can, it's a little easier to say, like you said, Derek, have that fuck you power and say, fuck you guys, I'm going over here and I knock this dude out. It's a little easier to kind of shake that off. Whereas with Nikita Krylov, you got to think he's worried about that picture going forward. These dudes have fought a lot of people in the division without their time of actually having, the moment to shine. Now is that moment. Which one's going to take advantage of it? What worries me is that death touch of Spann, man. I've been going back and forth on this fight for a couple days now, Derek. In fact, on the Twitch stream, folks, if you're not watching, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber, go check us out. Dropping some picks before, but this one was a hard one, man. I was back and forth for such a long time on this one. The thing that interests me, Derek, I don't want to push it too quick, is that prop, though. Because the way I see it, the prop line right there, the way I see it, the longer this fight goes, the more it's favoring Krylov. The longer the minutes tick off, the seconds tick off, Spann is going to be draining that gas tank. And will he be able to maintain that power all the way into the third, the fourth, or the fifth rounds? Or is Krylov just going to take over as that time clicks down? What do you think, Derek?
I absolutely agree. That's how I see this fight, 100%. I think if it goes early, it's Spann. If it goes late, it's Krylov. But you have to take into consideration, Krylov has won. He won his last fight against Volkan Ozdemir, decision, right? Before that, he got the first round TKO against Alexander Gustafsson. And if you're looking about like real long-term experience, even though it is easy for me to say Nikita Krylov because I've seen him kind of gut out these longer fights, a lot of his fights, first round, second round finishes. So it's kind of deceiving because when you look at Ryan Spann, it's pretty much the same thing. A lot of first round jab against Dominic Reyes. The guillotine choke first round against Kutalaba. Got choked out in the first round against Smith. Knocked out Serkinov in the first round. Like, it's just first round. Maybe he had that split decision against Sam Alvey back in a little while ago. But at the end of the day, this is a very deceiving matchup because let me ask you this, and I know you probably know because you're looking at it, but when we say Nikita Krylov probably has a little more pressure, probably it's like his window is closing. I think some people might say that. He's younger than Ryan Spann, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at his thing, so I didn't pull up the age, man. No, I did not know that, Derek. That's an interesting thing because it really does seem like the window for Krylov is closing. Maybe it's because he's been fighting a little bit more and the name has been in the thing. That's an interesting stat right there. I bet a lot of people aren't reading into that.
Well, homeboy he's 29-9, got damn near 40 fights, right? But he's 30 years old. Ryan Spann is 31 years old. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, let's dig into these odds real quick. -170 favorite for Krylov, +145 comeback for Ryan Spann. They do not think that Ryan Spann is going to be able to get this done in the late round as we just discussed. So let's talk about what's the juiciest bet to cash here, right? On your end, as a Nikita Krylov backer, where are you going here? Are you going that decision? Do you think? I think Nikita Krylov can also, realistically, I think if he gets Spann to the ground, he can submit him. I think he legitimately can. But what prop do you like the most?
That's what I was thinking. If I'm looking to get a little risky here, I'm feeling the mojo, man. I'm going Nikita Krylov with submission. I think Ryan Spann might gut himself out, might get a little tired, overextend, give up that neck, and the next thing you know, Nikita's snatching something up. Personally, though, I'm rocking with that decision. We've seen a lot of weird things happen, and for some reason, man, something in my gut is telling me Nikita Krylov by decision. What do you think, though, Derek? Are you completely unsold on that plus 1,100 decision for Ryan Spann, or do you think he can actually last it out? What's the most lucrative one for you?
Most lucrative for me is that plus 315 TKO. I almost think that it should be much lower than that, honestly, in this spot right here. I think he absolutely could knock Nikita Krylov out. Even if you look at his record, Nikita Krylov has only been knocked out once in his career. So it might sound crazy to a lot of people. They're probably like, bro, do you know this guy's fought damn near 40 times, only been knocked out once, but has he fought a Ryan Spann? If you look at the hardest punchers that he's fought, you got Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Ozdemir, Johnny Walker, Glover Teixeira, OSP, Jan Blachowicz. He hasn't won all of those fights, but he has fought some pretty legitimate guys and taken them to decisions. I just think Ryan Spann is just a different caliber, personally. So realistically, man, give me that Ryan Spann TKO. That's actually what I'm rolling with. I want second round TKO for Ryan Spann. And the reason why I like this here is because at the end of the day, look at these other props. 450 for the submission. Could he snatch a guillotine? Of course he can. You know what I mean? That's his patented move. The decision plus 1,100, that's so juicy, but we're not going to take it. If anything, to be completely frank with you guys, and this be transparency between like the people watching and now, give me that plus 145 money line and let's just roll with that personally. But this is going to be a very fun matchup, man. This is really going to be the next, like I said, the next guys fighting for the title, in my opinion, revolve around this kind of echelon of fighter. You got anything else? Or you ready to move on?
Nah, Derek, I agree with you. And this, for another full transparency, folks, this one's going to be a very, very close fight. So look at how those numbers are moving and place those bets accordingly.
That's right. All right, moving on to the co-main. We said it, man. Andre Muniz, he's got some momentum right now. Brendan Allen, we're not going to say that he doesn't have momentum because he's a very up and down fighter. And sometimes I do think he kind of fights to the level of his opposition. But if you're fighting Andre Muniz, you better bring it because Andre Muniz is big. While his striking might not be phenomenal, and I do think Brendan Allen will have a pretty substantial striking advantage in this matchup, once he gets a hold of you, he can hold you down for 15 minutes. You know what I mean? It's not too impressive if you look at his last win because he fought Uriah Hall, and he took him to a decision and wasn't able to finish him. So it's a little bit tough, right? And I'm sure, is my memory jogging me correctly? Was it a decision or did he finish him late? While you're looking that up, let me just mention this, man. Andre Muniz right now has become this prolific submission artist, but if you've met your match, stylistically, it's kind of against a Brendan Allen. He's not an easy guy to submit. You're not just going to sit here and have your way with him, but at the same time, I mean, shoot, if he can nullify and kind of mitigate some of that grappling prowess, man, this could be a real interesting kickboxing match.
Yeah, no, and it was a decision against Uriah Hall that Andre Muniz was taken to, and I agree because I think with this one, Derek, with Brendan Allen actually having pretty decent chops on the ground, man, 55% of his wins are by submission.
Yeah,
it could become that kind of fire meets fire, and we end up in a kickboxing match. I don't know, man. That worries me a little bit more right there because I feel like Brendan Allen might be a little sharper on the feet, might have that crispness, or at least trust himself a little bit more on the feet. We've seen Andre Muniz kind of not necessarily flounder on the feet, but you could tell he's come a lot more comfortable on the ground.
Oh, yeah. He's going to do whatever he needs to get the fight to the ground. It's not like this man can't strike. He can absolutely strike. Yeah. But I think if he's smart, he takes a Jacob Malkoun approach. Now, did Brendan Allen get a win against Jacob Malkoun? Yes, but did he win the fight? I think that's up for interpretation. I just think it's up for interpretation, man. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm just going to say that, let's say a lot of people were a little controversy on that one. So if Andre Muniz could grind him out, man, and he can maintain that control, take his back a couple different times throughout the rounds, I think that this can be a very, very simple path to victory for a decision. The question, I think, here for Andre Muniz at this point, it's not a matter of is he going to win. This dude's 23-4. What's his win streak right now? The win streak is something phenomenal. Hold on. Let me...
3.
No, Andre Muniz?
Not counting the grappling. Oh, sorry, Muniz?
Yeah, Muniz's win streak is long, bro.
I'm looking at Allen.
Yeah. We're looking at 9 wins.
9? 10?
Yep, 9
11?
wins. His last loss came to Azmat Mirzakhanov, and if you remember that guy, he's in the UFC now, right? But that was back in 2016. That was the man's last loss. Since then, this dude is finishing everybody. First round knockouts, first round arm bars, rear naked chokes, arm bars, inverted arm bars. You know what I mean? You saw what he did to Jacare Souza. This is the point, though. I think that we've got to the level of Andre Muniz where it's not a matter of will you win in spectacular fashion? Can you submit every single guy that you go and fight? You're not ranked number 11 in the world for no reason. It's just a matter of this could be a trap card type spot because Brendan Allen does not come into this matchup with a lot of hype, with a lot of allure. He doesn't have a number next to his name. So the casual could be, Muniz is going to go in there and just smash him. I think it's going to be a little more complicated than that. And in order to kind of round that out, let's talk about these odds. Do you think Andre Muniz, as only a minus 220 favorite over Brendan Allen, which has a plus 180 comeback, is that fair to Brendan Allen?
I think so, just because of the momentum and the highlight that's been on Muniz. It's really pushing him a little bit more. What kind of surprises me, man, is that plus 1,100 comeback on the submission, as well as the plus 400 on both of the odds for Allen, man. It seems like they're really thinking this guy cannot survive the ground game. But I agree, Derek. I think this fight is going to be a lot closer than most people think. Sure, Muniz has the upper hand on the ground, yes. But to have that big of a differential is kind of interesting, to say the least, on how the odds makers are seeing it. Do you think he can actually survive on the ground, or is it basically once something's locked up, Brendan Allen's tapping?
I think Brendan Allen can survive short term on the ground, but the longer that he remains on the ground, the harder it's going to be for him to be able to survive. If you look at Andre Muniz, a lot of his submissions are not top control submissions. They're off your back submissions, which is not the best place that you want to be, especially against a guy like Brendan Allen. But I'm interested to see, are we going to start seeing some like heel hook entries? Are we going to see leg lock attempts? Like, are we going to see that type of game? And if we do, who's going to be the one to initiate it? Or the bigger question, once again, why play the game with Andre Muniz if you don't have to? Like, why are you going to voluntarily go and play that game? Andre Muniz is going to do this. He's going to push him forward, put his back to the cage, clinch him up, get a takedown, and then start working. Can you avoid that? And the question for you is, once again, I almost hate that it's in Vegas because you have a tiny cage. This is advantageous for Muniz as opposed to Brendan Allen. Am I discounting Brendan Allen? I love me some Brendan Allen. I'm a big fan of Brendan Allen, but am I discounting him?
I don't think so, Derek. And what worries me about that is Brandon Allen hasn't shown the propensity to have that explosiveness in his striking. Because to me, you're right. You have that. You're in that small octagon. The guy's going to be coming forward. All you got to do is start throwing some uppercuts, some knees down the middle, front kick to the face, anything that's going to stop that boulder coming down the track and get off to the side. Now, have we seen Brandon Allen be able to do that? Not necessarily. He's very technical. He has a solid core around him. But I wouldn't say when you think Brandon Allen, you think of an athlete. Like even a William Knight, who we saw, has the athletic capability. Sure, didn't perform. That's a whole nother story. But Brendan Allen, at least in this case, we've seen him show up. We've seen him do really good in fight. Really solid technique. But I wouldn't say he has necessarily that spring, that pop, that bounce in order to get out of the way Muniz, which causes a lot of problems right there. That's why I like Muniz in this fight. I think he has more things that he can pull out of the tool belt to actually get the fight where it's favoring him. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you here right now, man. And it's just going to be a little bit, it's a matter of we're going to see it in the octagon. And that's really what's going to make the difference, man. I still like Muniz here. I think that this line is favorable if you're a Muniz backer because it could be a lot larger. It totally could be. Smash that right now if you're going for Andre Muniz. But do I want to follow the pack? And do I want to do the thing that everybody does and say, give me the submission for Andre Muniz? I do, AJ, and I'm going to do it. Give me the submission victory. And the reason why I'm doing this, and this is my one knock against Andre Muniz, he should probably spend a little less time submission hunting and use those top control positions, and try to look for the TKO instead. I think it would actually be a lot easier, personally. But give me that submission for Andre Muniz, and early, bro. Give me the first round, man. Give me the first round. I think this one ends early. What do you think?
I like that. I that's where my mind goes instantly. You see the plus 135. It makes a lot of sense. Muniz has the ground advantage. I got a wild hair today, Derek. I don't know what it is, man, but I'm going Andre Muniz TKO. I like that plus 800. I think you're onto something right there. And I think that the film study has proven that it is a little easier, like you said, to get on top, start ground and pounding, look for a club and sub, get it done, or maybe not club and sub, just ground and pound instead of trying to get the submission and work there. We'll see. Like I said, Andre Muniz plus 800. Oh, yeah, plus 800 TKO. I'm going to take... Man, give me the second round, early second round.
Second round. There we go. And shoot, man, club and sub wouldn't be bad. But like I said, folks, you heard it here first. Do not discount Brendan Allen. It's not going to be easy. Just because it ends quick, too, doesn't mean it'll be easy either. It's just a matter of that dude Muniz is really good. All right, man. Not much to really talk about in this matchup, but this is a fun heavyweight matchup. And once again, I don't want to be disrespectful here, but I do think Augusto Sakai has not gotten the most fair shake, but it's not his fault. And the reason why it's not his fault is because Augusto Sakai, if you're in the rankings, you got to fight the best guys, right? And if you look at the last people that he has fought, he is 1-4 in his last 5. Got knocked out by Sergey Spivak, knocked out by Tai Tuivasa, knocked out by Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and knocked out by Alistair Overeem. His last win came against Blagoy Ivanov, and that was a split decision win. Now you look at Dontel Mays, who I'm a fan of, man. This dude's good. But you remember Hamdi Abdelwahab, right? Got popped. He's going to be suspended for a couple years. The Egyptian wrestler came out of nowhere and just put it on Mays. Well, that was a split decision. I don't even know what that was. It's like a no contest now. I don't know what you want to call it. But his last 2 wins before, Josh Parisian, where he wrestled him. That's the one where he did a good old pelvic thrust to the man's face, right? So he got the TKO for the good old Dontel Mays. And then we also got a decision win against Roque Martinez. Now, if you're looking at what happened before that, he got submitted by Rodrigo Nascimento, and then you got submitted by Cyril Gane. You got heel hooked by Cyril Gane, right? So I'm not going to say that the level of competition is drastically different. I mean, if you really look at it, Dontel Mays had to fight a Cyril Gane. I mean, before Cyril Gane was known as Cyril Gane that he is today. But Augusto Sakai has legitimately fought the top tier, the upper echelon. So in a fight where you have a stylistic change, where you don't have the hybrid heavyweight anymore, you don't got the dude who hits you one time and hits you like he's a middleweight throwing heavyweight power, I think he has a fair shot to get the job done, man. Movement, distance, don't let Dontel Mays take you down with the wrestling, and I think he wins. I think it's as simple as that. What do you think?
I think it's as simple as that too, Derek, but it sounds a lot simpler than it is. Dontel Mays is a dog in there. But I really do think, though, that the UFC kind of tailor-made this fight for Sakai. I feel like Sakai has been one of those people that really suffered because of his greatness at the beginning of his career. Man, he looked good. Like you said, Derek, he came into the UFC hot. Who was his first knockout? He had it was Chase Sherman.
Yep,
Okay, Chase Sherman. And then you go and you fight a dog, Andre Muniz. But then the one that I feel like really took people for a kind of surprise and bumped Sakai into that next level of that heavyweight was a Marcin Tybura knockout. And that's what everybody's expecting, man. Big hands. This dude's coming in. Then he struggled a little bit. That's kind of where I am as far as Augusto Sakai, man. I bet on him a couple different times, and he's fallen short, but I feel like this is the right opponent for the right time in Augusto Sakai's career to actually get that step up. And like you said, Derek, I don't want to smash on Dontel Mays, no disrespect or anything like that. This dude has serious power, and if you're uncautious, you're a little risk taker at the beginning of the fight, Dontel Mays will put you in a nap.
And that's the thing. Like we're saying, there's no disrespect here, but if you look at talent in terms of results that we've seen, this is going to be the best matchup that he's had since fighting Chase Sherman in his debut. So it's like, look at how like the big circle of life, right? You're finally back here. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Does even a massive victory over Dontel Mays, does that get you back into the rankings? No, it doesn't. And I think that's why this fight is being made, because it's a matter of, we know what you're capable of. Maybe you can't hang with these top dogs, but let's get your confidence back a little bit. And now if you're Dontel Mays, you have almost nothing to lose in this spot, because Augusto Sakai, even though he's not ranked, he's a name. And Dontel Mays, after coming off that last performance where he got wrestled up the whole time when everyone thought he was really rising, this is your spot to get your momentum back. I'm going to keep this simple, though. Augusto Sakai, minus 125 favorite. If this was a couple years ago, this dude would probably be a minus 350 favorite in this same spot. So give me Augusto Sakai. I'm confident that if he does not get a finish in this fight, we're going to have some other conversations in the post-show breakdown. Give me the TKO for Augusto Sakai. I think he has all of the weapons. If he can avoid getting wrestled for 3 rounds, I think he could win the fight, and I think he can do it pretty convincingly. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, again, another fighter who can lean on his tool belt to really support him in the middle of the fight. Man, I'm a little nervous, Derek, but I'm going Augusto Sakai, and I'm actually going with that decision.
Ooh,
yeah, give me the decision, man. I honestly, I think both of these fighters, they may not be fighting to move up in the ranking or move up in their career. I think both of them are looking to avoid getting knocked out or getting cut from the UFC, getting knocked out of the actual company. And that's where the little bit of tendency, a little bit of hesitancy is going to come from. I'm going to Augusto Sakai by decision.
That's interesting, brother. It's very interesting. And listen, that goes to show your faith in the man Augusto Sakai, right? Or maybe it goes to show in your faith in Dontel Mays. But either way, I think that I'm just looking logically, not recency bias, but logically, right? Augusto Sakai has won 11 of his 15 victories by knockout at heavyweight, and they're giving him plus 200 for the TKO prop. Like, that's almost saying, like, here, like, free money, take it. You know what I'm saying? What are we talking about? So we'll see what happens. If you're right, I'm going to have to call you Mystic AJ from now on. But give me the TKO for Augusto Sakai. AJ likes the decision. Let's move on to my favorite matchup of the entire card. Tatiana Suarez is back, and she's back in a new weight class, the flyweight division. And they were not nice to her. They did not sit here and say, let's give you the warm-up, ease back in. No, give you Montana De La Rosa, who we've seen can do some pretty despicable things to people depending on, what level of seriousness they take Montana De La Rosa, because I think she's a very overlooked fighter. But let's not forget. Remember one of my other favorite fighters, Carla Esparza, right? Legitimate wrestler, 2-time strawweight champion. You remember what happened when Suarez fought Esparza? Took her down 1 trillion times, bloodied her up, and finished her late in the fight. Easy. That was it. What are you going to do? You do that to a wrestler like that? Montana De La Rosa is by no means a wrestler in her own right. She's more jiu-jitsu than anything else. And if Tatiana Suarez resembles anything that she did 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I think we see a smash spot. My question to you, AJ, number one is, why is it, out of curiosity, minus 140 for the decision prop? They're very confident that Suarez takes this all of 3 rounds. Why do they think that Suarez, after this layoff, can't get a finish in her comeback fight?
Oh man, that's a curious thing because if you look on the other side of those prop bets right here, 2,800 TKO, plus 1,400 TKO, plus 750 decision. It seems like just by those lines, the odds makers aren't giving any chance to Montana De La Rosa. But you go on the other side, it seems like the decision is more likely. It's weird how these are kind of not really coinciding with each other. It doesn't make any sense to me, man. Maybe the only thing why the odds makers are leaning on that decision is a lot of, as at least in recent history, a lot of the fighters who are coming back into the fold again after a long layoff usually like to take things a little slower, test their gas tank, get back, get their feet wet, kind of feel comfortable in the uncomfortable again, and really go from there. Maybe that's why I don't see it, Derek, man. I think that either the plus 450 TKO or that plus 285 is looking real juicy right there. I don't think we're going to see a decision here, Derek. I could be mistaken. What do you think?
I mean, I could be mistaken as well, but I think that even for Tatiana Suarez, man, her style was never let's be patient and let's relax and let's just sit back. It's let's move forward, let me grab you, get in that clinch, take you down, and let me smash you and continuously do mat returns for 3 rounds. Like that's her whole game is predicated on cardio. It's predicated on being able to control you and use her strength and use her technique to nullify her opponent. Now, Montana De La Rosa, she just fought Macy Barber and just got dominated by Macy Barber over the course of 3 rounds. It was nothing. I mean, there was some scrambles here and there, but Macy Barber put it on her, right? I think it was a pretty impressive performance. Clear unanimous decision victory. And if we look at Montana De La Rosa's real statement victory that happened recently, it was against who? None other than Ariane Lipski. And I think it's safe to say you got a Muay Thai fighter and you don't got a fucking D1 wrestler, Tatiana Suarez, or whatever her credentials are. But it's like, her record isn't indicative of how good of a fighter Montana De La Rosa is, in my opinion. Lost to Macy Barber, finished Ariane Lipski, majority draw against Mayra Bueno Silva, which is actually like that ages well. But then you got the loss to Viviane Araujo, lost to Andre Ali. Like her wins aren't as impressive as some of the names that she's lost against. My question to you though, given that Montana De La Rosa was slated to fight both Tayla Santos and Marina Moroz, and both of those bouts fell through, you got to admit, like they're giving her some stout opposition because she can take it. Can she upset Tatiana Suarez here?
Oh, yes, Derek, 100%, man, especially if she's able to move in quick off. Once that bell rings, once the cage closes, if Montana De La Rosa is able to be the bully and upset Tatiana Suarez, get her on the back, get her uncomfortable, not let her, like I said, get her feet wet, just literally put it to her from the jump, Montana De La Rosa can be that bully against a very dangerous Suarez, man. It seems like a massive mountain on paper. But Montana De La Rosa has the gears to really turning it up that hill.
That's right. So when it comes down to it, man, if you look at the last couple of opponents that Tatiana Suarez has fought, besides Carla Esparza, there hasn't been very many grapplers on that list, right? You got Nina Nunez, Carla Esparza, Alexa Grasso, Viviane Pajeda, and then Amanda Cooper, of course, in that Ultimate Fighter finale. So, the question is, we don't know what Tatiana Suarez is capable of. You could assume she's going to be the same fighter, but it's the same conversation with John Jones returning. We could say, oh, look at all the highlights, but is that who the guy that's stepping in the cage is going to be? I like Tatiana Suarez here. I think the odds are a little bit nuts. She's actually swelled from a minus 800 favorite to currently a minus 900 favorite. I'm going to take the odds, though, that she gets this fight done early, and I want a second-round submission. I think it's going to take her a round to kind of warm up, get the takedowns. Don't think she'll be able to finish her. Montana De La Rosa will be tough, but I do expect a rear naked choke or something like that in the second round. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, no, I like that, Derek. I'm actually seeing it the same, Tatiana Suarez, except I'm going TKO. Okay. Second round as well, though. I think it's going to be, like you said, getting her feet wet, get in the beginning, actually take her to the second round, and then we'll see Suarez work. Close fight, man. Very dangerous opponent for Suarez right here, but it's going to be fun nonetheless.
And actually, believe it or not, man, taking a look, that's pretty important. Over and under on this fight, 2.5 rounds, minus 155 for the over 2.5 rounds. So a lot of people are not really thinking Tatiana Suarez can kind of come in and just get the job done. But I'll tell you what, I'm saying it now. I was always been a big fan of Tatiana Suarez. You know, Shevchenko is my girl. You know that's like, I'm a big fan. I think if you got some real opposition right here, as long as Tatiana Suarez has built into that 125, this is the one right here. You know what I'm saying? But we will see what happens. All right, brother, let's move on. Okay, so like I said, then you get into these fights. You got the Canadian, Mike Malott versus Yohan Lainesse. Apologies, brother. Get a big one here. I promise you we're going to learn how to pronounce your name. But I think this is just a matter of a technical fighter in Mike Malott, who over the course of 3 rounds can stay within himself and stay composed to not get caught, versus a Yohan Lainesse that can start off very strong and can put it on you until he doesn't put it on you anymore, until he gets caught and submitted or TKO'd. You know what I mean? So in a matter of this matchup, man, what speaks to you? What do you see when you look at this matchup?
When I look at this matchup, Derek, it is a dog versus a dog versus a fighter who knows how to stay at range, stay away from the trouble, and really pick and choose his shots. Now, the dog, we're talking about Mike Malott right here. And then the sneaky, the technical, the at-range fighter, Lainesse, man, because this dude, Lainesse, knows how to stay on his bike, avoid the trouble, cut the angles, and get away out of danger, but then also get back into danger and pick his shots where he can actually hurt you. The thing about Malott, though, man, Malott, however you say his, both of these guys, we need John Anik over here to do some actual pronunciation, because when I was watching the Malott fight, they all messed it up. Either way, besides the point, Malott, we've seen him be willing to push the pace, get in a dangerous situation, and weather the storm and persevere. Now, will Lainesse be able to provide that kind of storm, that flurry, that spike? I don't really see it, man. I see Malott staying on the front foot. I see him being the bully, and I see him working down Lainesse and actually being able to cut off the cage, push him up against the fence, and get him beat up, get the fight won. Do you see it the same way, or how are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, man. I think when you have 2 knockout artists that we have right here in these 2 fighters, the more technical fighter sometimes can definitely prevail when the fight goes longer, right? Now, who's to say one of these guys doesn't just stiff each other in the beginning of the first round or whatever, and then it's just over. All right, nothing you can do there. But as time goes on, those openings are going to appear. And I think Mike Malott, being a more technical fighter, is going to be able to exploit that, little scramble spots. I was just really disheartened because, like, Lainesse, he got the big win against Darian Weeks. That split, controversial again, split decision victory, right? But before that, in that fight against Gabe Green, man, I was just a little disheartened because I was like, man, you was really up. You looked like such a world beater. And then something happened, and then he just didn't. Like, it's almost like a testament to the will within the fight. If things start going not the way that you want it, are you going to immediately start crumbling, or are you going to rise to the occasion? Mike Malott strikes me as the type of fighter who will rise to the occasion. When you look at the last, 3 victories, fighting Mickey Gall is no joke, man. This dude made his whole entire career in the UFC, basically. So starched to Mickey Gall, just literally flatlined him, right? Shimon Smotrisky got the guillotine choke. Solomon Renfro, who is actually a legitimate fighter right there, rear naked choke in the first round. Knockout win before that. And then his last loss legitimately was to Mean Hakeem Dawodu, man, back in WSOF. So it's like, I don't know, man. I like Mike Malott here. I really think that these are guys that nobody really knows. And of course, you could be the lazy person and be like, let me just look at who's the favorite and let me pick for them. But I think legitimately, as fighters, Mike Malott, I think, has a very, very high ceiling. So I like Mike Malott here. I think in the tale of 2 knockout artists, I'm going to take that plus 175 TKO all day long. But I'm actually a little surprised, man. Why do you think the Lainesse TKO prop is plus 400? This dude could stiff people as well.
He can stiff people, and we saw it in his last fight, man. He was able to stun Darian Weeks, man. And then I don't know why, man. It feels like a lot of the hype is going for Malott over here. Maybe it's because he's going to be on that front foot. Maybe it's because he has that chin. He's able to be the dog in the fight. It worries me, though, because the longer this fight goes, the more Malott is willing to engage and bite down that mouthpiece, where if you're that counter striker like Lainesse, man, you can see those holes open and you can take advantage of it. Either way, though, I'm going Malott, and I'm going with a first-round TKO. We're going to make it a fast, fun night, folks. This might be the fight of the night, but we'll see.
Sheesh, man. And I'll tell you what, if you look on Tap, I was just doing a little quick search on Tapology while you were saying that, man. Lainesse is getting no love, man. They're giving it all Malott. They're saying Mike Malott round 1 with whatever he wants. I'm like, you better not discount Yohan. You don't do it. Don't do it. Don't overlook this man. That's all I'm saying, because this is going to be a tough, gritty fight. All right, man. And rounding us out, Ghost Pepper, Erick Gonzalez, right? He's looking to make his way back. 2 pretty rough losses. You get starched by Jim Miller, and then you get put it on by homeboy. Come on, bro. Why am I? Terrence McKinney. There we go. Terrence McKinney.
T-Rex.
And then, Trevor Peek comes in and he says, listen, man, I might have almost got completely starched in my Contender Series bout, but I came back and I had a will to win, and I know how to knock motherfuckers out. The problem here is that Trevor Peek, I think that this is going to be a very formidable opponent for Erick Gonzalez, but arguably, this is a type of matchup he probably should have been getting coming into the UFC. Not the Jim Millers, not the most fights, most wins in the UFC, not Terrence McKinney, who starts everybody except, the Bonfim bros. But Trevor Peek, a dude who's wild, swings big, and likes to just rock you with every shot that he got. Erick Gonzalez can fall into that as well, but I think that he's a little more precise. He's a little more point A to point B versus point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, man, on the feet, look at Trevor Peek. He's a minus 175 favorite, bro. People believe in the power. I believe in the power too. But do you think that Erick Gonzalez can outclass him for 3 rounds?
100%, Derek. I don't think Ghost Pepper's getting enough credit for this fight right here, and especially in a spot where he needs the win. I think he has a lot more fighting for it, whereas Peek, dude's a dog, and he has a chin, he has a heart that is willing to persevere and go through literally brick walls to get his dub. But I feel like Gonzalez is just a little bit more versed in the big lights, if you will, man. He has a lot more to fight for. He has a lot more time in that octagon against big names, dude. Like you said, man, coming in as your first fight against Jim Miller in the UFC, and then you go to T-Rex. Thankfully, somebody over here likes Erick Gonzalez because they finally threw him Trevor Peeks. But to that point, I don't necessarily think this is a smash spot, Derek. I think this is one where Peek has a lot of opportunity to make a big name off somebody who's kind of fallen in the lackluster limelight, if you will. Do you see it that way, or are we just a smash spot for Gonzalez all day right here?
Brother, smash spot? Trevor Peek has 7 fights. He's knocked everybody out. There's no, not smash spot. I'm more talking about here experience, right? Look at the biggest win on Trevor Peek's resume, right? And that's going to be Kama Worthy, former UFC fighter. Obviously, a little chinny, right? So he got kind of, relegated to the minors. But if you also look, first round knockout, second round stoppage, first round knockout, second round stoppage. That's the entire career. Erick Gonzalez, on the other hand, is a little more well-versed, a little more octagon time, right? Cage time. So I think that Erick Gonzalez, man, you got real legitimate experience in some pretty early fights, right? And I'm talking about the Terrence McKinney and Jim Miller, both of those first round and second round stoppages. But aside from that, he's got a lot of decisions under his belt, man. He's fought a lot of guys, and I just think that Erick Gonzalez is one of those guys who it's the what have you done for me lately? And lately, nothing. He hasn't lately. Right? Trevor Peek has done everything lately. But does that mean that Trevor Peek is automatically going to win this fight? No. I think if Erick Gonzalez can stay within himself and avoid the wild, looping, crazy shots of Trevor Peek, I think he can have a lot of success here, man. And I wonder if there's going to be any taking this to the ground, you know what I mean? And trying to really utilize the full range of mixed martial arts. But I like Erick Gonzalez here. I'm seeing him get no love online. When I'm really looking at it, man, I'm talking about, like, people are saying Trevor Peek with whatever he wants as well. Like, they're giving him all the love here. So let's talk about these props really quickly, man, and we'll kind of round this thing out. Erick Gonzalez's best prop is plus 275 TKO. You know what I mean? Trevor Peek plus 110 for the TKO, but other factors of winning, submission doesn't look good, decision doesn't look good. So what does this tell you?
Man, Trevor Peek needs to win this fight in the first round. Yeah. And we saw it in his Dana White Contender Series. The longer the fight goes, the more this dude is just willing to load up and throw haymakers down the pipe. And with somebody who has as much experience as Erick Gonzalez does in the cage, he's going to see that. And I agree with you, Derek, or at least I agree with what you were going for. I think we're going to see Erick Gonzalez taking this to the ground, showing him up, showing multiple different styles of fights that's going to confuse the newcomer in the UFC and really drag him into those deep waters. Now, as far as the props, that plus 110 TKO, I think that number starts to grow more and more not in favor of Peek the longer the fight goes. Mm-hmm. If this is a round one fight and only round one, Trevor Peek all day long. Yep. Now, with that plus 275, I think Gonzalez is a little bit more likely to get the knockout just because he's so dangerous on every other aspect. What blows my mind, Derek, and tell me what you think about this one, but that plus 1,200 for Ghost Pepper on the submission prop doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, you can see it over here. This dude has a lot of round one finishes, not as many submissions, but he does have a lot of ground and pound, a lot of things that are on the ground, able to have the position to get going to that submission. Do you think it's that big of a odd just because we're going to see a ground and pound right here? Or does Erick Gonzalez have the skills to actually get it done on the ground right there?
That's a good question, man. And I don't see that. I don't see it when you're looking for that. Oh, sorry, bro. I put the wrong camera. When you're looking for that victory, right? When you're looking for that elusive victory that you just haven't been able to get, especially in the big show, obviously you're going to take any opportunity of victory that you can, but I don't think you're going to get outside of your bread and butter. And his bread and butter is just be technical, man. You know, win the fight, do the right thing. If it takes it to the ground, be smart. Ground and pound, get the finish. Let's not do anything extra. So with that being said, man, I like me some Erick Gonzalez here, and I'm not going to make the same mistake that I made last time because if you look at both of our cards, it's pretty damn finish heavy. Give me a decision here for Erick Gonzalez because we saw just how durable Trevor Peek is, man. Like this dude, he has a real will to win. You know what I'm saying? So I like the decision for Gonzalez. How are you seeing it on for the Ghost Pepper?
Yeah, man, I'm going with Ghost Pepper. And full transparency, I was already thinking decision as well. I think that's where it's more likely going to be. I think Gonzalez will want to try to test himself a little bit and really see how he fares, especially with the youngin who hasn't had that kind of third round experience. But Derek, because I'm kind of hedging the bets a little bit here for the props anyway, I'm going Erick Gonzalez and I'm going TKO round 2.
Nice. No, nice. I can see it. I can see it later in the fight, man. You know what I mean? Something happened to him and he just has to get him out there. Or if he, opts to be able to get him out there. But it's going to be a fun fight. And rounding that out, man, we're a little short on time. So we're not going to have much time for the prelims, the prelim pour-over. But, of course, we have to bring you the most coveted bouts on the prelims, man. So we're talking about the sleepers. Let's get it.
It's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're going to sleep on me and I'm going to wake you up.
All right, brother, let's get straight to it, man. We got the list. We got a couple of different fighters here. AJ, kick us off, man. Who is going to be your sleeper for UFC Vegas 70?
Derek, my sleeper this week is Nurullo Aliev versus Rafael Alves. I'll make this one short and simple, man. We got a Russian who's 8-0 versus an absolute hammer in Alves right here. If you know anything about Rafael Alves, you know this dude brings the fight regardless. He's crazy. He's a wild man. And if you haven't heard of Aliev yet, just make sure you're paying attention to the sleeper because this one is going to be fireworks from the jump. Aliev, very, very dangerous, man. You can see the Josh Wake, TKO. Kirill Kuyev. This dude has been fighting in a lot of different organizations all around the world, and he's finally into the UFC. I'm expecting big things, and what makes it even more exciting is the fact that Alves is down for a scrap, folks. I'm telling you, fireworks from the jump. This one's going to be entertaining. Well, what do you think, Derek?
Well, listen, man, don't forget, Rafael Alves is the dude that does like 10 backflips in the cage before he starts the fight. Before he starts the fight. Like on the way to the cage and in the cage. So this is going to be fireworks, man. This is going to be nothing but a display of athleticism, and I think this is going to be a very fun fight. I'm not picking a winner right here, man, because both of these dudes could absolutely get this thing done. In terms of my sleeper, once again, I'm going to keep it short and sweet as well. Look at who we got. We got the return of Ode Osborne versus Energy. He's back again. That's right. After that short comeback, he got the win over Jimmy Flick. That last win over Zhalgas Zumagulov. The man is trying to be active, and he's trying to get it. And I'll tell you this much, folks. Ode Osborne is not a guy that you come in there and you just try to play with. Yeah, he's coming off of that first-round TKO loss to Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam, if we know one thing about him, that right hand, it hurts when he hits people with it, and that is his bread and butter. Literally, that's the name of the game in terms of finishing people. But when we're looking at this matchup, man, you got dudes who can strike with the best of them. They're both long. They're both rangy. I mean, you can do a little bit of wrestling if you want to, but I think that this is going to be mostly a striking affair. When you take a look down here, this is what interests me, though. AJ, what do you think about this? Look at the love on Energy, Charles Johnson. How are we disrespecting Ode Osborne like this? And folks, I wish I could have just shown you the face. Yeah, look, we at least got that one from our man AJ. Make sure your mic is on, brother. But listen, what are we doing here? Ode Osborne. Y'all forgot this. I'm just going to say this, man. If Ode Osborne starches Charles Johnson, I would not be surprised, but I think this is going to be a fun fight back and forth. What are you thinking?
Derek, the mic was on the whole time. I was just speechless, man. My mouth was agape is what was going on over here. That is crazy, man. I got to pull up on my end because what was it, like 85% is going against Osborne? Something 84% going for Johnson, and 52% of those people think he's going to knock out Ode. Man, folks, if you're an Ode Osborne fan, go place your bets because this dude has a lot of potential to win. In fact, I wasn't even going to choose a winner on this one because I think Ode might get it, but that's an interesting odd right there, man. Energy is really that he lives up to the name. Homeboy is a gangster, but Ode Osborne is no slouch. This is going to be a very interesting fight.
That's right. And I will say, like, Charles Johnson, he is living up to that hype that he came into the UFC with now. But Ode Osborne, once again, this is just and this is what pains me. This is a company of what have you done for me lately? He's 3-2 in his last 5. His losses are to Tyson Nam and to Manel Kopp. The Tyson Nam one, yeah, you got caught. You lost to Manel Kopp, bro. What are we talking about? Like, this dude is upper echelon in his weight class. Went over Zaruk Adashev, world-class kickboxer, knocked him out. CJ Vergara got the decision over there. And then Jerome Rivera, our boy, shout out Santa Fe, shout out New Mexico. He got him with the left cross. So, I mean, listen, man, I just think that it's just the styles, especially the long length of a Ode Osborne, even though he's short, right? He got the longer reach, 72-inch reach to 70 inches. I said I was going to keep it short. I'm going to stop talking about this. Watch the fight. This could be like a main card fight. That's how like amped up that I get about this. But ultimately, those are your sleepers, folks. And let me see. I think we got 1 or 2 minutes to spare real quick, AJ. So before we get to the outro, I want to take a look. If there's really, this is all I'm going to say. I'm going to pour down these, right? For those who are listening, apologies, but you got some names here. You got a lot of people who are looking to make their way onto the scene. Haley Cohen, she's highly touted, fighting Eileen Perez. Honestly, don't really see the hype between either of these fighters in terms of how much like people are talking about this fight in comparison to some of these other fights. Garrett Armfield, very good. Jose Johnson, very talented. Joe Selecki, shout out some jiu-jitsu, right, against Carl Deaton III. People are thinking that's a smash spot. And then lastly, Jordan Levitt against Victor Martinez. It's going to be a fun fight here, man. I don't want to talk about any of these. You can if you want. Gabriela Fernandez versus Jasmine Jasvidicius. That's going to be an interesting fight too. Jasmine Jasvidicius coming off with that rough loss. We're gonna have to definitely see something come back. But prelims not quite as notable. I'm hoping we see some violence. But what do you think?
Derek, it may not be as notable as far as name value. Yeah, you got the Joe Seleckis, Ode Osborne. You got the Monkey King back in it, trying to twerk on some people again. But there's a lot of fighters in this one that I think are going to provide a lot of violence. And that's the kind of biggest thing about these sleeper cards, the cards that don't have a lot of name value. Usually it's because people are trying to make that name value, and then we get some finishes right there. So, folks, make sure you're tuning in early. Watch these prelims. Go watch the sleepers. Both of them are going to be absolute bangers. And then go get your picks in and go win some money. And the only way you can do that is making sure you're subscribed right here on YouTube, or you go over to Spotify, get your stuff in. Go hit me up on Twitch. You already know, man. It's going to be a very, very fun week. And I'm looking forward to how these chess pieces are set up going forward, man, to even better fights down the road. What do you think, Derek? What you got?
I think y'all would think we excited for this one. You know who's fighting next week? Johnny Bones Jones, baby. Let's get it against Cyril Bongamin. Gone, man. This is going to be a fun lead up to the fight, man. Honestly. So don't sleep on these cards because oftentimes these are the filler cards before the big pay-per-view, but these are the ones that deliver. A lot of the time the big pay-per-views don't really deliver. Either way, biggest highlights to take away from the show, right? Return of Tatiana Suarez. That's going to be fun. The future of the light heavyweight division is going to be in that main event versus Krylov and Spann. We'll see what happens. Can Augusto Sakai make his resurgence? Can the resurgence begin? Will Andre Muniz just solidify himself as a legitimate top 10 contender? And then lastly, man, I think really the last big test is going to be that one that you had mentioned. I want to know. I really want to know what's going to be the outcome of your sleeper, man. Ali versus Rafael Alves. These guys are fun. It's going to be interesting. Last words for the people, my man. What you got?
Woo, we said it already, man. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, making sure you're sharing it with your friends. If you're not sharing the wins, the money, you're not passing it around, you're not really that good of a friend, you're probably not subscribed, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share the wealth, share the stories, get the name out there. Derek already said it, we're at 509, but we're looking to jump up to 525 by the time this hits the air. So folks, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, go hit me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. If you're looking to get some money or a little bit more money before these odds start shifting, make sure you hit me up early, Monday through Wednesdays, 7 p.m. my time. Go hit Twitter, Instagram. You already know where the links are. It's going to be a fun one, folks.
And I'm going to leave us with this, right? One of my favorite quotes is, you can give a man a fish, right? And it'll be good for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he'll be good for life. That's what AJ's providing with you guys when he's breaking down film real time, when he's giving you real legitimate perception and insight. It's not easy doing this week in and week out, especially when you get some rough losses after a while. You're like, oh, do I know how to even pick fights? Like, do I know anything about fighting? At the end of the day, man, tune in, bloodywaterpodcast.com, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. Folks, you already know what time it is. That is it for us, and until next time, peace.